I'm here along with Alverno College head coach Brad Duckworth, here in his fifth season of coaching the women's basketball team. Coach, how's it going today?
It's great. Thanks, Josh.
All right, Coach, can you start off by reflecting a little bit on last year's season?
Yeah, I thought last year's season was another step forward for our program. We tied for fourth in a very competitive North Division. We had a good year. We struggled a little bit early, and we found our way as the season went on. I thought our last year's seniors really did a nice job as the season progressed, and we had some big wins late, and fell a game short probably of our ultimate goal of making the conference tournament and seeing where that leads. But I thought we had a good year, and certainly something the program could build on.
Well, reflecting a little bit, you lost that final conference game to Marion in double overtime for the last spot in the conference tournament. So how do you bounce back from that to start the season? It's such a heartbreaking loss to end last season.
Yeah, I think that game against Marion was a tough one. Full house, senior night. It was certainly a tough game, but in the grand scheme of things, one more win anywhere gets us into the tournament. So I try to preach that to our team all the time. It isn't about one possession or one game. It's about a collection of 18 games. Sure, it stung, and I think the best way to get over it is to be 18-22. I think those guys. It stung and it hurts, but I think it hurts me more than it hurts them. Players have time to move on. Those two seniors have moved on. Gabby's graduated. Everybody else from last year's team is back. The best way to get rid of it is throw the ball out there on November 15th against Mount Mary and start playing again. But I don't think right now this year's team even thinks about that game. We use it, we talk about it, we say one game, one possession because that's what we needed. I talk about it, but I don't think that's on the forefront of their mind. It's a driving force to make the conference tournament, but that's our goal every year.
All right, talking a little bit about this year's roster, you have 10 returners and 4 seniors on the team, and this is the most you've had in your tenure at Alverno, both sides of that. So how much further ahead of the game is your team with the big returning class?
Well, I think there's certainly a lot of positives to having 4 seniors. Seniors just bring something to the table that juniors, sophomores, and freshmen don't. There's some finality to their career. I think high school seniors have it in their mind that they'll play again. They'll play college basketball. College seniors don't. This is it, and they know it, and they have from now until whenever we finish, and that's their last days in a jersey. So I think having 4 seniors, and I have 4 special seniors. We have two-year seniors we recruited from junior colleges. Alyssa Jensen came from MATC, and Hannah Gallstad, who came from Western Technical College. And those guys' development and passion for our program, and they've only really been here 15 months. It's unbelievable. They understand that this is their program, and they've done a really, really great job. Amber Mecca is a transfer. She played 1 year at Aurora and came here. And I think she'd say to you, she doesn't even quite remember that 1 year at Aurora. This is her program, and she's really had a great preseason. And, Alicia Kantowski will be back. She's a 4-year senior. I guess if you had to pick your preseason best player, if that was such the case, Kantowski's would be it. Those seniors they're great people. They're great players. It's nice having 10 returners. We're way ahead of the game when when we say a set or say a defense or look for expectations. It's there, and they're hungry, and they're ready to get out after it. So, I'm excited about having everybody back.
You lost a large part of your scoring last year, your rebounding, your defense. With last season's seniors, Gabby Allen, Shatea McComb, it's 25 points, 12 rebounds, about 4 steals, and 2 blocks a game. So where are you going to look to help fill in the gaps left by that duo?
That's a lot. You take a look at what McComb in her 2 years as a junior college transfer, and Allen probably had the best 4-year career of anybody in our program's history. I don't even think that's arguable. She left here just a couple games under 500, and that included her freshman year being 5-20. So in a lot of ways, Gabby really was the driving force behind the transformation of our program. 1,300 points or close. And if you put Taya's junior college points together, she was a 1,200 point scorer. So we lost 2,500 college points. You go 1 year back, Lisa Sorgi, who's now on our staff, had 1,100 college points. So, when you're just talking about 3,500 points in 2 years, you're talking about some players. There's some challenges to that, but I would think in the last 2 years when you lined up against Alverno, you would say you have to stop Allen and Sorgi, and last year you have to stop Allen and McComb. And this year's team's not like that. We do have 10 returners, and there's going to be different players every night score for us and defend for us. And, I think they're excited about the challenge of not necessarily having that one or two go-to 20-point-a-game, first-team all-conference type players. Everybody has to play a role, and that's how the preseasons went. So to fill those points, I think you do that by committee. I will say this, I think Alyssa Jensen's had a great preseason. Hannah Gallstad has already stepped up and taken care of a lot of those things. Kristen Spearsnyder's a returning point guard, who had a nice second half of the year. She'll be out there. Kennedy's one of the best defenders we have. There'll be some players that didn't get a lot of numbers last year. Anna Boteva, Amber Mecca, a couple of new players that will fill it in. I'm convinced we'll be okay. We're going to score differently, more evenly, but we'll make up for the loss of the two seniors.
All right, switching gears a little bit. Your opening schedule offers competition from both sides of the spectrum. You play at Mount Mary, traditionally one of the weaker teams in Division III on opening night. And then you play a pair of schools from the WIAC, one of the toughest, if not the toughest leagues in Division III later that week, as you play Oshkosh and number 11 UW Stevens Point at the Pointer Classic. So how will seeing two sides help your team in league play?
Well, I think everything we do is built towards winning the NAC Conference Championship. We want to win a North Division. We want to win a tournament championship. I think anything less, if you have any goals less than that, then what is it that you're trying to achieve? We have 4 seniors and 10 returners. So if that's not the goal with this year's group, when would we ever have that goal? So everything we do is driven at those two goals. And I think those guys down there would tell you that anything short of competing for those two things would be a disappointment. So having Mount Mary on the opener, it's here. They haven't traditionally been one of the stronger teams, but I will say this, they play Alverno strong every year. We are certainly not going to look past them. They're a team, they lost their leading scorer and very good player Jordan Osley to graduation. But we lost Gabby Allen. So I'm sure they're in their gym preparing for us like this is their national championship game and they want to go out and win it, and they should. So we're looking forward to that matchup. It's our home opener. I hopefully we'll get our feet wet a little bit. We'll get to see some lineups and see what happens here. And then shifting gears, you're right. I mean, typically a coach doesn't say this publicly, but it's the truth. Mount Mary and then Oshkosh and Stevens Point are different teams. I coached at UW La Crosse for 4 years. I'm very familiar with those kinds of teams and players, and I think it's a great challenge. We open in the Pointer Classic against Oshkosh. Coach Schumacher's, one of the best coaches in Wisconsin, and always has an Oshkosh team ready to play. They're big, they're strong, they're physical. But we're looking forward to that challenge. Our players know a lot of their players, and we're going to go in as the underdog there. But we want that challenge. We have to be able to play against teams like Oshkosh, and the next night, I think probably the toughest game on our schedule all year is playing Stevens Point at Stevens Point. They don't lose in their building. They didn't lose in conference last year, in one of the strongest conferences in the country. I don't know this for a fact off the top of my head, but I don't think they lost a game at home until the national tournament last year. I think they lost the Sweet 16 game at home, and that was their only loss in their building all year. So is it a challenge? Sure. Are we afraid of them? No, we're not afraid of them. We're going to go there and play. I have the utmost respect for Coach Egner. She won her 500th game That's 400 more than me. I haven't even coached that many games. She's been a great mentor for me. I'm excited to play Coach Schumacher and Coach Egner and their teams, and I know our teams are excited about it. We're going to go there and give them the best effort we have, and then, if nothing else, we may have teams in our conference equal with Stevens Point, but I don't think we'll have anybody better than Stevens Point. So, when we roll out against the teams in our league, there's no reason to fear good teams. We've played Point in their building and hopefully competed with them really well.
All right. Additionally, looking at your schedule, you have a trip to California over the holiday season. Can you talk a bit about some of the details of the trip, in addition to just the basketball out there?
Yeah, it's really been this is my 5th year here, and it's been kind of a planning process, something in the making. We want to give our team an opportunity. We're going to be out there for 7 days. We're flying into LAX, and we're staying near Pasadena. We'll be out there during the Rose Bowl time, and it's something we're going to practice every day. It's still basketball. There's still some business behind it, but I want them to learn from it too. We're going to do some sightseeing and spend some time in the warm weather in between Christmas and New Year's. We do play 2 games. We open with Caltech, who I don't know that much about them. I know what those 2 teams have been traditionally, but I haven't seen film or anything on them yet. Caltech last year finished in the bottom of their conference. That doesn't mean that Sandy won't have her team ready to play us when we get out there. And then the next day we play Claremont Mudd Scripps, who won their conference last year. So, I'm looking forward to playing. California style basketball is a little different. It's a little more physical than it is maybe sometimes in the Midwest. They run it up and down differently. I don't think it's basketball, but having coached 2 teams who have played in California, the style and the way the game played is a little different. So I think it'd be a great learning experience for our team and another chance to bring them together and hopefully build towards those goals at the end of the season.
All right. We got a few new rules into the game this year. How do you think these rules, the rule changes, will affect the game, specifically the moving back of the 3-point line?
Well, I hope that the NCAA Rules Committee doesn't have an opportunity to see this very often, because I'm not really in favor of 3 of the major rule changes. One change to the game this year is we've moved the 3-point line back a foot. It's the men's line. And the rationale behind that was that in their studies they believed that a majority of the 3-point shots attempted from the old line were at least a foot behind the line, were behind the men's line. And while that's probably true, I think it's fair to also say that most of those 3-point attempts that were taken at the Division III level for sure were because women need a little extra space to get their shot off. So that foot was their space to get their shot off, and they were good shooters from there. Well, now that we moved the line back to the red line, to the men's line, now we're talking 6 inches behind that. So we're really looking 1.5 feet, 2 feet behind that. And that's a long shot. That's a long shot. So I don't know that I'm 100% in favor of it, but we haven't played a year with it. So I'm going to take a good hard look this year and really pass judgment. The other 2 major rule changes, one is the illegal defensive area for a secondary defender, similar to what the NBA has. Not all floors will have a half moon on it. Painted on the floor, that's not mandatory until next year. To explain the rule, primary defenders are the people who are guarding the person with the ball, but a secondary defender is anybody who comes over to help. In that restricted area, 3 feet radius underneath the hoop, there will be no charge calls taken. It is an automatic block even if the player is set. I don't know that I like it. One of the reasons that it's great in the men's game, the NBA game, is to protect players who are turning and trying to jam from getting undercut. And with the exception of Brittany Griner at Baylor, I don't think we have a lot of those kind of players in women's basketball. So I'm more of a defensive purist, and I would like to see secondary help come over and take a charge, wherever that is. Transition, take a charge. And I think, I think we're going to see more blocks and good fouls than we've seen, and that doesn't mean I'm going to change anything about the way we coach. We just might have more block calls, and I think it's going to put officials in tough spots for a year because those lines aren't even going to be on the ground, so now it's subject to was she 3 feet, wasn't she 3 feet. The last one is a timeout speed up rule. If a team isn't ready to play at the second horn, first horn's a warning, second horn's a ready to play on the floor in a defensive position or offensive position, the officials are supposed to throw the ball and play. And, I understand that for the games that are on television and you come back from commercial and where you need to be ready to play. But it does need to be stated that Division I, those media timeouts are 2.5 minutes long. Ours are 75 seconds. And, sometimes 10, 12, 15 seconds needs to be saying to a player, you're okay, not strategy. And that happens very fast. And I think, again, it's going to put officials in a tough spot to do the right thing or do the rule thing. And I'm not really in favor of it until we start seeing more Division III teams on television and have the media, the 2.5 minute media timeouts. Until then, I think we're trying to force something that hasn't been a problem. I don't think any of the three things that they've changed this year has been a problem. And I think we've made some real changes that we've made maybe for the Division I teams, maybe for the television teams, but I didn't think we had a broken product. I don't know why we have to change rules to change rules.
All right. So overall, what will you look to get out of your team this season?
I think Alverno basketball has defined itself in my 5 years here as a team who's going to work extremely hard. We're going to defend you really well. We're going to execute on offense. We're going to do the details well. We're going to dive on the floor. We're going to take the charge. We're going to do the extra thing. My goal at the end of every year is to get the most out of the group that we have. And, I will say this, we're 1 week from opening, which means we've been in season for almost a month. And every day these guys impress me with their effort level, their energy level. Now I know that every coach says, yes, you should bring that to the gym, but saying it and doing it are two different things. This team does that every day. And if they do that every day, then our coaching staff's responsibility is to make this group the best it can be. Where that is on March 1st, I don't know. Hopefully in the NCAA tournament. I would love nothing more than a Stevens Point, Alverno rematch in round 1 of the NCAA tournament. I'll go back up there, that's fine. I'll play Coach Egger in game 1. But I don't know where that is, and I'm looking forward to the journey, and I think we got a great schedule and a great team. This team and I get along really, really well, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of the next 4 months and see what March 1st means.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.